there was a time when Werewolf was the #1 app in Thailand on the Apple App Store. So it was before WhatsApp, it was before Facebook, before every single other app out there in Thailand.
Can you introduce yourself, as in when did you start developing the game?
Ooh, good question. So I'm Philipp. Hi guys. When did we start developing the game? I think it was about 2 years ago. So last year was 2019, 2018. It was in the beginning at the end of 2017. We started with the Werewolf Classic version first, so the one with the blue logo. Just to kind of get into the whole programming thing, to do a little of testing, to see how the teamwork it was going. And then in the beginning of 2018, we started working on Werewolf. And I think it was finished round about beginning of March. So more or less 6 to 8 weeks of development for the really first version.
I'm actually recording this for the 1st of March, because then I know that Werewolf Online actually is going to turn 2 years old.
Yeah.
On that day. Cool. So yeah. So actually, how big is your staff? Is it like only you and Philipp, or is it you and Emmanuel, or is it also others?
The core development team is only the two of us. We have a lot of freelancers that work for us, mostly for designs. I mean, you probably know about them when you
in the Discord.
And you see all the different outfits. So there are a lot of people that make the outfits for us. And nowadays, pretty much all the new outfits that are added are from those guys. But in addition, we have a couple of freelancers that do like smaller projects, like a couple of websites that are connected to Werewolf that are being developed by them. So all in all, less than 20 people working on this.
And does everyone actually also like benefit from it, or is it voluntarily?
Oh, they totally get paid. If you work for us, you will totally get paid. How you get paid, that always depends on what exactly you're doing. But of course, we definitely pay our employees. Totally.
So also the avatar creators?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, wow. I actually didn't realize that. I thought like that was actually something community driven. But it's kind of... Yeah, apparently it's like you can get paid for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then maybe a question that comes from like earlier in your life. How do you know Emmanuel? Because you two work together, and I imagine that you talk a lot together as well about the game.
We met in university, actually. It was kind of a chance. I think we had some courses that we did together, and we both studied in the same university in Germany. We both studied computer science, so we just met through that.
But how is actually the communication going? Because I believe that Servelnius, I think he said one day that Emmanuel is traveling a lot.
Yeah, and Emmanuel's currently doing a world traveling tour, sort of, which is really interesting. So the communication is mostly Skype, Discord, and email, and whatever. So it's not the same as sitting in an office, but most of the time it really works. I mean, if you want to see the other person, you can always do a video call, and the Discord is so fast and just so convenient, so it totally works out.
Yeah,
that's the same thing with all the freelancers as well, right? It's a very distributed team, which has its own challenges, but also its own benefits. Like you can work with anybody everywhere in the world, so that's really cool and really powerful.
Yes,
but it works, sure, absolutely.
And
time zone, more pain, but that's fine.
Why have you actually decided to work together? And like maybe you could also in the beginning or something work alone, for example.
Always more fun to work together.
Yeah, I understand. It's also you're stronger together, of course. But it was just a question. So then I wanted to know, what is actually the main inspiration for Werewolf Online? Like the card game, or maybe Town of Salem, or any game?
The card game, really. It's like maybe it's actually not one particular card game. It's more everybody knows a different version of Werewolf. Like everybody, if you've been in a social group together, camping or something, you've probably played some kind of Werewolf game with a lot of custom rules, a lot of customizations to it. And we as a friend group had that problem that we didn't have cards with us most of the time. So we usually made up the rules ourselves and said, okay, we have a werewolf, and then we have a witch, and the witch does this and that. And then eventually we said, okay, it's annoying to not have cards, so let's just make an app to sort of replace those cards. And that was the beginning of Werewolf Classic. And then pretty much everything that came after that is, for the most part, community-driven. So all the roles, all the things that are being added, even the online version. We didn't want to do an online version. That was the wish of the community. Please make an online version. So everything that came after was made by you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were really surprised because we only knew the offline version. We said online that doesn't work. I mean, you cannot look the other person in the eye. You cannot see if they're sweating, if they're a little bit fidgety. So it cannot possibly work. But turns out, yes, it can. So
it definitely can.
Corrected.
Yeah, because in what extent do you then consider Werewolf Online a successful app? Like, is it like totally is it a big surprise to you that it turned out so successful, or is it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
never expected to be working full time on Werewolf. There was never the plan. There was never the intention.
So you can really make your living out of Werewolf Online. That's actually what
we're trying to, at least, yeah.
Oh yeah. So what is then your favorite feature of all time in Werewolf Online itself? Because I imagine you play so now and then as well to test things and just to maybe have the same experience as a community. So what is your personal favorite feature?
Not sure if it's really one particular feature. I mean, if you okay, maybe put a different way. I really enjoy playing Sandbox for some reason. Sandbox is like a good mix of complexity. There are a lot of different things going on, a lot of really weird situations sometimes. The player base is usually a little bit more advanced. Like there are not so many new players that are trying to do basic. At the same time, it's not crazy competitive, so you can do it while you're sitting on the couch. So yeah, I guess I really enjoy playing Sandbox.
I think that's also for a lot of people actually the reason to play Sandbox in general. So now I want to ask you something about it's an if question actually. So what would you immediately add to the game if anything was possible and everything would go well, like people would not abuse that system or anything? Like I think you have some wishes for the game. So what would you immediately add if it could happen?
Oh, that's a hard question. Well, actually, I do have one. Yeah.
Yeah.
The part of the the last big vote with all the different feedback items, it had one feedback in there which was about a couple system in the game, a system where you partner up with another person, whether your girlfriend, boyfriend, or just random friend that you have, and then together you are sort of like your own mini clan with your own benefits. Maybe you can do a marriage in game where you can have a party and you can invite friends to watch you get married or whatever. And that would be really, really cool.
It's actually kind of, yeah, that's actually something I noticed that, like, because recently you asked a lot of poll. Actually, there was a big poll of I don't know, like 30, 40, 50 at least questions, like in the vote channel on the Discord, and I looked through them and I picked out 10 of them. And I included them in a video, and one of those was actually that couple system, and it turned out to be really, really popular amongst my community as well. So yeah, I think that's definitely going to be a success then.
Yeah, it would be really fun. A lot of specifics are still missing, but I think the general idea, because Werewolf is so social, it's all about playing with people, talking with people. So like the general feeling, I think, is good. I mean, clans was a good first start if you're a bigger group, but oftentimes you have like one or two people that you're really fond of. So if you can do something special for them,
yeah,
that would be really fun.
So then I want to know something about the community maybe. So what is the importance of the social media and the Discord, in your opinion?
Can't so much comment on the social media part, maybe more on Discord. Discord is pretty much the main driver of like pretty much all content that's getting added to Werewolf. So content in terms of new outfits, content in terms of new features, content in terms of bug fixes. So
Roles.
pretty much everything that we add to it comes from Discord. New roles, everything. So without Discord, the app might look very much differently. Yeah,
That
probably
is
not
actually
better.
kind of... Yeah, so actually, is there also a message you want to tell the people watching this, like to join the Discord, for example? Like I know,
Please join Discord. If you have feedback, please join Discord.
yeah,
Discord is the #1 place to collect feedback, to collect bugs. And we really want your feedback. We really appreciate it. We really want to make this app so it works for you. So the best place to do that is really Discord.
Okay, then I have a question about the development of the game, because there are a few things that actually are kind of hard, I imagine, to tackle. Like, what is probably the toughest problem to tackle?
Spirits here bug.
Yeah?
It's never there when you look at it, but if you don't look at it, it's there.
Oh wow! What is actually the Spirit Seer bug? Can you explain me? Because I think a lot of people are complaining about it, but I still don't know what it is.
Well, in a nutshell, the Spirit Seer sometimes shows people as good, even though they killed, and vice versa. So, in short, Spirit Seer doesn't always work as intended. But it seems as though the number of reports have gone down, but still they're not zero.
What is actually the what would you want to do with the Spirit Seer? Like, should the Wolf Seer, for example, be blue or purple, even if the werewolves did attack, or do you only want to show people who really voted during the night to appear purple?
Everybody should appear purple.
Okay.
So if you were part of a team that killed, doesn't matter if you voted or not, you are guilty in the sense of Spirit Seer.
And what if the doctor protects someone, for example, will the werewolf then, because they actually did not kill, appear blue, or should they appear? Yeah.
Then it will, yeah. If you don't kill, so if nobody dies, then there's no killer per se.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
all good.
And corruptor, because I know the corruptor kills practically a day, and the illusionist as well. So
they would not count.
They would not count, but also
Because
not
they didn't kill them.
not in the night after either.
No.
Okay, so they could actually dodge the Spirit Seer entirely.
Absolutely. So Spirit Seer doesn't make sense against all random killer rolls. It only makes sense for serial killer, I guess.
Maybe
what
arsonist,
else
bomber.
I'm not sure if it actually works with a bomber and an arsonist. I don't know.
Well, actually,
They
it depends. I would say it depends on whether the arsonist, if we take the arsonist, whether they doused or ignited, because if they ignited, they practically killed.
They should count, yeah? They should.
Yeah, then it should.
Hmm.
And the sect and the sect leader and the zombie are just, they will always be blue then?
They will always be blue. I mean, zombie was always intended more of a fun role.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not balanced.
People are not really the opinions on the zombie are really divided. I really know that.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe one day there will be a different zombie kind of role.
Yeah, because I actually got a question from someone like, would you like to add more converters like the sect leader and the zombie?
Sure, absolutely.
Because I know a lot of people also doubt these roles in general, I think. And they actually add something really interesting. What I like is that they take away villagers.
Yeah.
And they make them something else. I like that, but some people do not like that. And of course, in some cases, it's not really balanced. Like I've thought about precedent games with zombies and Zack Leader that's usually really unfair. So yeah. So then a future thing, will there actually be a final release of the app? Because I think it's obviously still developed, and I am not sure if there's still a beta button. But yeah, do you actually plan on a final version, or just is it gonna be like a lot of games will always be updates?
Well, I guess it really depends on how well things are going. So ideally, in an ideal world, the development Werewolf will never be finished. So if things go well, if Werewolf is healthy, we'll always have new content. If, let's say, tomorrow there are suddenly no players on Werewolf, then eventually we have to do something else. Then we have to make sort of a final release and say that's it and do something else. But as long as the community is healthy, as long as people are playing it, then we plan on adding things to it. Absolutely.
And is the community still growing exponentially, or is it like how fast is the community growing? Like, I got an idea at some point that it was absolutely booming, but I don't know if that's still going on, or if it's...
There was a time when Werewolf was the #1 app in Thailand on the Apple App Store.
Really?
So it was before WhatsApp, it was before Facebook, before every single other app out there in Thailand. There was a time when there was a really huge spike in number of players in Werewolf.
Wow.
Of course, that doesn't happen every day.
No, that's not normal for a game.
For 3 weeks. But the community is still growing. It's still going strong. It's not growing as insanely as back then, which I guess is maybe even healthy, because back then there were a lot of server problems. That was really crazy.
Yeah, I think that can also be really busy for you, because then you have to fix more things even faster. And yeah, I don't know, but if it's growing so fast, then it's hard for the staff, I could imagine, to keep up with the pace.
Absolutely.
So what is your biggest wish for the future of the app? Like, what is actually the thing that you would like to add on a really long term, for example?
Well, the couple system is one thing that I'm really looking forward to. This is actually really high up on the priority list. Aside from that, we have a lot of features that I'm not really sure if we should announce them yet, because we don't know if they're going to happen or not. But we have a couple of bigger features which don't change the way Werewolf works at the moment, but sort of just add more, like, kind of more game modes to it. But I'm really not sure how well the community would respond to that. Because like the core game is what it is, right? I mean, it's really hard to change the core game. You can always add more roles to it. That's totally fine. But if you want to really take it sort of to the next level, or add really, really new content, then we're kind of talking about more game modes, which again, I'm not sure if and how much they make sense.
Yeah,
so for example, we could talk about Clan Wars.
Yeah.
Like 1v1 was also in the boat, which could be really fun, but essentially it's a new game mode, because the roles all of a sudden are used very differently.
Yeah, that's so true.
A lot of work to do, but it could be fun. We'll see.
Yeah, and are you planning on more actually online games, like in the online section as Werewolf Online? And maybe I think you have like the Cult, for example, or I'm No Demon, that's already online, but are you planning on adding more of those games?
Maybe, yeah. So if and when time permits, we definitely want to work on other games as well. So Cult Online, that's something that could happen in the future. Maybe it might also be part of Werewolf Online. I'm not sure, but sure. If we have time, more apps, I think, sounds fun.
Then I want to know well, it's not the final question for today, but it's the final question from me. What role describes you the best? That's maybe completely off track, but what role describes you the best in Werewolf Online?
In German, we have a funny name for that. Das Mädchen für alles. What's the name of that?
I don't know.
The person that's responsible for pretty much all the things. So I don't do just coding. I don't do just community management. I don't do just avatars. It's pretty much everything. So
You're all around.
so like the head of the whole thing, whatever you would call that. So like the thing,
Maybe the
the
mayor.
glue, maybe the glue trying to hold it together.
So now I'm going to ask a few questions from the YouTube and the Discord from people who want to know something. So Kanku wants to know, how many roles are you planning on adding to Werewolf Online, and when will the next roles be coming?
There's actually currently a role tournament being planned by the awesome guys in Discord. So once the tournament is finished and once the winners have been decided, it could be really, really soon. In terms of how many more roles, there is no fixed limit. As long as adding more roles makes sense. So as long as a new role is actually or brings in new game mechanics that previously weren't available, and as long as adding new roles doesn't make the current game too complicated to play, the limit is the sky. So more roles as long as it makes sense.
Is it also like the more roles and features you add, like that you get, that the size of the app is also increasing, or is that something else? Like I totally don't know, but
that's nothing else. That's mostly related to all the avatars and all the pictures. So we were trying to add more images to the app directly. So you download from the Play Store instead of having to download it dynamically. Because if you download it dynamically, then sometimes it doesn't work, or you have to use your mobile internet connection for doing that when you're on the go. So by including it in the app itself, it sort of saves you some bandwidth when you play.
Also, just something that pops up in my mind is, like, I saw in that big poll a suggestion that to add Werewolf Online to a PC, like making an online app on the PC or something like that in Steam or anything else. But how would you imagine that? Is that really doable, or is that going to be like a total different game?
Well, at least in my mind, it's totally doable because Werewolf is mostly a typing game. So why not? It would, if it works, it would not be a new game. It would be the same thing. Probably it wouldn't be portrait mode. It would probably be landscape. So you would have the players on the left side and then the chat on the right side, something like this, to make it fit better on your screen on your PC.
Yeah, like I will probably play it on my PC then, because my phone is sometimes a bit slow, or the energy is low and then I cannot play anymore. But yeah, I would definitely like to see that personally.
Okay, cool, man. It would be really fun.
So a question from Diego Pernigo. Are you going to change some of the role effects? Because I feel like you have the serial killer that has a knife when it kills somebody. I think the werewolf have that splatter. Or no, they don't have the splatter, but they have the paw.
Awesome.
So are you going to... both actually. Are you going to change some of them?
Change as in change the existing ones, or change as in add new ones?
I think both. The question is not really specific, but I think both.
So changing the existing ones, I don't know. Depends on what the feedback is. I think so far the feedback has been mostly neutral to positive. So as long as that stays the same, then we wouldn't change the existing ones. And in terms of adding new ones, we definitely want to add new ones. Hardest part is finding an animation that works with killing, which is sometimes kind of difficult. But I think actually most roles now have killing animations. There are only a couple of them that are missing, like the cannibal is missing definitely.
Yeah, the cannibal, yeah. But it's also really, I don't know if you wanna have the same like serial killer, but I think you want to have a different one.
Yeah, we could actually have the same as the serial killer in the beginning. It's actually a good idea, yeah. And then in the future for anyone. But anyhow, if somebody has an idea for a cool killing animation, please send it to us, because the main reason why more aren't being added at the moment is it's kind of hard to imagine the stuff. Like for the cannibal, it would be a person eating you. So what would the animation be? It would be like a mouth that's above you. That looks kind
a mouth, yeah.
I don't know. It's sometimes hard to imagine how they work, or the illusionists. What would the illusionists do? Who like
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe let
cook.
someone vanish or something. I don't know. That could be kind of weird. So now I want to go to the Discord questions. That is a little bit more. Will you ever add roles which depend on other roles? For example, a firelighter. And I think that this means that the firelighter could, in this example, probably undo arsonist douses.
Okay. In theory, yes. I mean, we've kind of already done that with the Seer Apprentice and the Guardian Wolf and the Flower Child. So those kind of depend on other roles. So yeah, the reason why we originally made that rule was it's easier to add roles if they don't depend on other roles. It's easier to understand them. It's easier to implement them. But if there is a role idea which is really cool and which is really fun and which breaks this rule, then yeah, that's totally no problem. We can definitely do that.
Okay, that's kind of cool, because I sometimes think of roles, but then they need like a second aura or a second role in order to work. But that is actually something you would then accept if that.
It really depends on how cool they are. So
yeah, how cool they are.
You're definitely going to get more resistance from us when it comes to adding dependent roles. But if they just add so much fun to the game, then yeah, sure, of course, let's just do it.
Okay, then the next question from Sakura. What are ways you think can balance some roles in game that are either underpowered or overpowered, like zombies, for example, if we talk about overpowered, or, well, I don't know about underpowered, but overpowered zombies?
I'm not sure I understand the question. What are the ways? What do you mean by ways?
Yeah, what are ways you can actually balance the game more with roles?
Okay, not sure I understand fully, but okay. What we do have internally, we do have sort of like a measurement system that checks which role setup leads to which results with what percentages of wins. So we can say that, for example, for quick games, the village wins, I don't know, 5 out of 10 times, for example, and the werewolves win 3 out of 10 times, something like this. And then if we have a new game mode or a new role setup with a new role, we can put this new role in this new role setup and then look at those numbers. And if all of a sudden the village wins 10 out of 10 times, then obviously something went wrong and the village became too strong. So we kind of use this to balance some of the roles. Not always, as you can see with the zombie.
Yeah.
Zombie was just really just for fun in there. But most of the times we use the actual numbers of how often teams win to balance role setups and individual roles.
Are you also a big... do you also like to... us to be able to customize our custom games even more? Because I think sometimes I hope the custom games are more customizable. Maybe that we can already... that we can come up with... Well, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know, I've thought about more players in a game, but I don't think that's ever going to be possible. But
custom games with more things to customize, sure, that definitely sounds fun. Custom games aren't being used by a lot of people, so I'm not sure if this is a chicken egg problem. I'm not sure if they're not being used because they're not customizable enough, or if they're not being used because they just aren't popular, really. But sure, in general, if there are more things to make them more interesting, absolutely. We always want to make it more interesting. Custom games is a really cool test bed for just trying out new role setups and just experimenting and see what happens. So,
do you also play a lot of custom games to actually test your setups, for example?
Yeah, we have sort of our own internal system, which is not, which is like custom games. Sure, it's not the custom games that you see where you have a lobby and then you have to join. We have a system where we can test things a little bit quicker because we need to test it a couple hundred times per day, so it has to be really quick. But it's very similar, yeah.
Okay, this question is from Qbax. Will all solo roles, including Fool and Headhunter, get their night theme music?
Maybe, if there are cool musics out there. then we don't object. Sure.
In the future, will you add more ways to gain coins? For example, by quests, although I know that's already possible, or challenges. Like, do you want to add more challenges?
Maybe, yeah. So, sure. Challenges sounds a little bit like the achievements. Like the current, personally, I think the current achievement system is like really, really basic and
Yeah.
very, very simple. It could be a lot more diverse if you have to do specific things with specific roles. So maybe that could be one way to get more rewards, be that new outfits or new or more coins. But sure, that would definitely be fun.
And do you actually also think that adding those challenges would also give skins, for example? Like maybe you could give avatars for specific challenges, or is that a little bit too much for challenges?
In theory, yes. It always depends a little bit on how many skins we need. So if we need, let's say, 100 skins for 100 challenges, that's really a lot of work to make it happen, because skins just take time to put them in the game. But if we're only talking about a couple of skins, like to test it out in the beginning, then yeah, that could work.
Okay, the next question is maybe something more like a feedback question, but this comes from Sakura. Can you make the mayor unique so that, like in a ranked game, there can only be one mayor or maybe one pacifist or something like that?
Can we do it technically? Sure.
But do you also want to do it?
I personally don't mind. So it's for ranked games, because Emmanuel and I, we both don't play too many ranked games. So we really are dependent on the feedback of the community. So if this is something that the ranked community can agree on, yes, we want to have unique mayor, yes, we want to have unique pacifist, then absolutely.
So then,
for those things, there's not a lot of consensus how something should work, which is really the hardest part, especially when it comes to ranked. There's so many different opinions of how things should work, of what is good and what is bad.
yeah,
It's really hard to find a thing that's liked by most players. That's really difficult.
Yeah, I know there are different streams within ranked, I would say. Like you got the stream that already plays there for, I don't know, a lot of seasons, and they don't want too much change. And some players want to play ranked, but they want to see a few changes, and then they would play ranked. Like maybe some sandbox players who want to go to ranked but don't like the setup entirely. I think that that is actually a big struggle in ranked.
Absolutely.
So do you also have an idea on how to fix the game thrower problem on the long term? Like, is there even a solution to fix that somehow, besides having guardians?
Personally, I'm a really big fan if bad behavior, be it game throwing, be it cussing, be it swearing, be it harassment, whatever, is immediately punished by the system in some sort of way. And there are always going to be situations where a system cannot detect that you're doing something wrong, and you need guardians or you need human beings to look at what's going on. But I think there are a lot of things that can be detected automatically. For example, the swear words. I mean, that's rather easy. But it's actually as a system, it's really effective to tell people immediately that what they're doing is wrong, and if they keep doing it, just immediately ban them and throw them off the game and say goodbye. We don't want you here. I think this is something that really, really helps to show that the game and we as a community care that you behave nicely in the game. For actual game throwing, it really depends on what it is. So some things are really easily detectable. I mean, a lot of things are being prevented right now as well. So, for example, the gunner cannot shoot in the first discussion phase. Pacifist, the same thing. That's all to prevent game throwing. So I think we'll see more of those things in the future, just to like cover situations which happen a lot.
I think like something like the priest, the priest also got nerfed recently. Like you cannot water on the first discussion phase anymore. Exactly. But that is also, I think a lot of people in ranked especially maybe do not like that because they wanted to water immediately if someone was called out evil.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big problem, right? Every time you make a change to the core mechanic of the game, so every time you make a change to the rules, you're always going to have people that don't appreciate those changes. And it's really hard to figure out if the majority appreciates them or if it's the majority that does not appreciate them. But getting pushback for every change, I think that's normal. No matter what we do, we're going to have somebody saying, okay, the old version was better. So for the most part, I think it's just try and error. Just do it and then see what happens. If a lot of people are unhappy, then we can always go back to the old version. And if it's just one or two complaints, then maybe it wasn't so bad after all.
Well, I don't know, but yeah, considering I don't know how many people are exactly in the Discord server in relation to how many people are playing the game at the moment, but wouldn't it be a good idea to add a poll in Werewolf Online, the game itself? Like maybe you could. I saw recently I saw the announcement thing that you can see the new log, actually the change log in the game, but wouldn't it be a good idea to do the polls as well in the game? Because I think more people can actually vote then.
Sure, I mean, we can definitely think about it. A different way to look at it and a little bit more technical way to look at it, when we do polls, what we are really looking for is the ratio between likes, dislikes, and shrugs. So how many people don't care, how many people want it this way, and how many people don't want it this way. And for the vote to be representative, it takes like a couple of hundred people. So as soon as the vote has, let's say, 500 or 1,000 votes, then personally I would say it is kind of representative to the community as a whole, at least partially. So of course we can always add more votes by adding it to the game itself. And maybe that changes the outcome, I don't know. But I would have guessed that the outcome would kind of be the same. Like the ratio between likes and dislikes wouldn't change drastically.
No, and I don't think either that it's not really easy for people who are not in the Discord to complain anyway. So yeah, well they can go to the App Store and leave their feedback over there, or they can mail. But I don't know that if that's the most used way for feedback.
I mean, we do get feedback via the reviews, of course, and we also get feedback via the emails. But most of the time, the feedback that we get through those channels is the same as in Discord anyways.
Yeah.
So it's very, very rare to have something that's radically new and that's being reported by multiple people outside of Discord. Usually Discord is faster, is more personal because you can really ask people, why do you think that way? What exactly is the problem? And oftentimes you also get more reports via Discord.
Okay, so then I want to move ahead to the next question. This is from Bulbamania. Should the pacifist have the option to reveal themselves when they use their ability?
Maybe. I mean, what are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? It could be fun. It could be really fun. If he reveals himself, of course, that makes him a little bit more stronger, and it hurts roles that are trying to hide their roles. So it's always easier to claim that you're a pacifist if you cannot reveal, or if the pacifist cannot reveal him or herself. So I don't know. I mean, that would be a typical question for a vote.
Yeah,
just see what
people think. Okay, then we go into a thing you will never know question. How are new roles added to the game? So what is the process from making one to adding one?
The answer is there is no process.
There is no process, but like what is the technical process then? Because you have to do something.
And we have to get down and do coding, but that's just whacking at the keyboard until a new role appears on the screen. I don't know, but that's a little bit too technical to actually get into.
Yeah, I understand.
I think the best way to get a role into the game is to bring it up during a tournament, because tournaments are really the collection of all the roles. So we really take a look, really take a close look, really try to find the best ones from it. And usually when we add roles, we add them as bunches, because adding roles is very complicated, because you have to go very deep into the system. So when we add new roles, it's usually like 5 new roles as a whole, not just one role, but like a whole bunch.
Yeah. Like you update. You do bigger updates and not. Yeah, now you do small updates as well. At least we can see them in the changelog right now. But yeah, I understand why you add like 3 or 4 roles in one time, and not like one role per month, for example. Then I got a question that is actually also asked in the Discord, or it was also in the poll. This is from Cubex. Will there ever be a premium account subscription or a one-time payment as an option for more perks?
Premium account subscription, maybe. Depends on if there's enough content to actually make it worthwhile, and depends on if there are enough people to actually want to have it. The second question I didn't understand. Will there be a one-time payment for perks? Do you have an example?
Yeah, that was actually an or question. Like, maybe that people could say, I would say pay $20 or €20 or anything, and that they can then get something monthly, for example. Something like that. Would you like to add that?
In theory, yes. So I don't have a strong opinion for or against it. It really depends on what exactly the content would be and how people would react to it.
Then this is the last question that is from Rogan Rola.
Cool name.
What that name? What are your ideas about the clan wars, and when will they be implemented, if they will be implemented? It's kind of specific, but yeah.
We had that earlier about the new game modes. So in our mind, or in my mind, Clan Wars is really a new game mode. Because it's something that changes how you use the roles. It's something that changes how you use the app and how you communicate with other players. So there are actually a couple of game modes that we could look at, a couple of game modes that are sort of competing with the Clan Wars as well. So recently somebody suggested a type of clan war where you actually have 4 different factions. You have like the villagers, you have the werewolves, and then I think it was 2 more teams. I can't remember the names. That could also be a new game mode. So it depends. Really depends on how. I mean, really have to look at the specifics of those, right? Like how exactly would it work? How many clans would play? How easy is it for a clan to actually play it? So, for example, with the clan wars, I think it's really important that you have exactly 16 players or 14 or 12, so they are more or less balanced, which presents a challenge by itself, because you need to find 8 people from one clan at one time. So this is even something that's feasible to do. It's like it requires a real commitment from the community to be online at this one specific moment to make it work. So I don't know. We really need to do some more research on how exactly would it look, how fun is it. So very much undecided. There's definitely no specific date on when they will be added. They might be added. They might not be added. We're just not sure.
Yeah, I get that, because you obviously need a lot of people. And really specific people as well.
Yeah, that makes it very hard. It would be a lot easier if Clan Wars somehow worked in a way where you can play asynchronously to other Clan Wars. So let's say that 2 people of your clan are online and you do something that sort of helps this clan war, whatever that may be. That would make things a lot easier and a lot simpler than requiring 8 people to be online in the same game at the same time, finding another clan with also 8 people also being on at the same time.
It depends. Like the clan wars that I held was like with 3 teams of 5 or 4 teams of 4, even before that. But that comes with other mechanics as well.
I mean, they look really fun, and it's really cool to see how people respond to that. So this is something that's really, really positive. But yeah, we'd definitely have to look a little bit more closer how to make it work, so it's not frustrating that you have to wait forever to get a clan war started.
Okay, now thank you for the podcast. I think that's going to be it. So have you got a message for my watchers?
For your watchers, what?
Or for anyone who is watching this? Yeah, maybe. I think.
Thank you so much for playing. We really, really appreciate that you're playing. We never expected so many people to come and play this. it's really it's hard to put in words, but as a developer, it's really heartwarming to see that the stuff you build is actually being used by people, and it's super cool to see that people care enough to actually send feedback that's good, like really new cool features that we would have never thought of ourselves, to find bugs that we were never able to find ourselves, and to really, as a result, shape the future of Werewolf. That is something that's absolutely incredible, and we're super happy to have you. So really, thank you for playing, thank you for sending feedback, and thank you for being on this journey.
Okay, well, thank you for the podcast. It was nice to talk with you and have some be able to ask those questions.
Thank you so much for doing it. Really appreciate it. It was fun. It was cool. With some cool questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was well done. And I listened to some of the other podcasts. They're really well done, by the way, and also your videos. I really enjoyed watching those.
Thank you. I will see you later. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Have a good one.